Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Spirits and Ghost Stories. I'm your host, Thomas Aarons.
And Carly Bird.
Week 39.
Tom got really excited. He came home with these new LED lights and started putting them into every single light socket in the basement. And he was just like, "Look, I love this color."
I was able to turn the place blue.
Us.
This is week 39. 39. I just want you to let that sink in because we got to hustle and bustle. We got a lot going on. You know, the economy's going to shit. We're completely broke, but we still made it 39 weeks. And so it's the fact that this is extremely hard to be consistent in.
Hustle and grind.
100%.
Folks.
And the fact is, we are 1 week away from 10 months.
Wow. He is so tired right now.
Right. But what happened to 9 or 8 or 7? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I was trying to think about that like earlier today before you started recording. Is like, it blew by. Like, I don't know how we did it, but we did it. You know what I mean? Like,
and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I honestly thought we would run out of stories. Like 6 months ago, thought we would run out of stories.
That is shocking.
And to this day, like, we still have, different little short stories lined up, ready to go. You do some research, I do some research, and I'm just shocked at the amount of like endless story possibilities we continue to gather.
Oh yeah, that is crazy to me. And the fact is, and I know a lot of people have commented on this in the past, like, we're only doing cryptids now. We're only doing cryptids. That's what's insane. I'm going to take that negative and turn it into a positive, by the way. That's what's insane. Is like, we've hit a lot of cryptid monsters and stuff. So that means we haven't even scratched the surface on ghost stories.
I know.
And we've made it this long. So like, we haven't even made it a year. We've made it this long. Yeah. But the point is, more things to come as we just keep chugging along at this. We're still alive, still grinding. And we made it, we're so close to 10 months. And then you're at 11. And then it's like, and before we get to the story tonight, I do want to ask Carly, what was the hardest stretch for this for you?
The hardest
so far. Like, it's like,
you mean like what time frame was probably
like
the
10
hardest?
months. Like, because to me, it's like the easiest part of a school semester is honestly when you're in the last couple of weeks. You can grind, you can see the end of the tunnel. So I feel like when we get close to our 1 year anniversary, that's going to be super easy. And that, honestly, guys, will probably be really good episodes because at that point you put in more work because you're like, oh shit, we're like so close.
I know, you're
like, you don't stop. You don't stop the week before a 1 year anniversary. Be like, all right, after all this, we're just going to like we're done. YOLO.
I think the hardest part is probably right now, and that's only because you and I are so busy because the weather is finally being wonderful, and we want to go outside and do more outdoorsy things, but we also have to work and we also have to grind, and you're about to graduate with your master's degree, and everything is just like,
please employ me if you're listening.
Anybody want to hire Tom?
Please employ me. You're like, what do you do in your spare time? It's like nothing. as you find me out on this whole podcast thing. But no, like, honestly,
I just think because the weather is so freaking nice right now that it's harder to sit down and just like, oh, I'm just gonna look for ghost stories on the old deep dark web, because we've got a million other things that we would rather be doing at the moment.
The hardest thing for me was, honestly, if I had to think about it, was January to about March.
Why?
So going into Halloween, you have a narrative, and you have like, and this is just kind of how my brain works, guys. You had a narrative, and like, okay, this is how we research, blah blah blah. We do it, and then we kind of lost our way for about a week or two, and then it's like we could find stories that had a holiday twist, and it's like, boom, we're back onto it. We had a vision or how we're going to build these stories. Then after Christmas and the holiday season, it was like we had no structure, so to speak, and so it's hard to find stories. And so for January and February, I felt like it was really touch and go until we started to really bang out some good stories again. And so a couple that come to mind to me when it comes to like, when I think good stories, it's also like the depth, the research and things like that. So like the Snallygaster put a lot of research into that. The Kapaushka, a lot of research into that. Mothman put a lot of research into that. And it shows in the analytics of like, oh, what episodes pop. And it's so interesting. Like, some of them we put a lot of research into and apparently they didn't resonate, which is fine. But it's rare that the episodes like we didn't put as much work into, those are the ones that pop. It's like never happens. It's usually the episodes I can guarantee which episodes are going to pop. And it was so weird. Like, after the January, February lull, I think it's really right around your Kapaushka story.
The water kelpie.
Yeah, water kelpie. It's like we found this weird, I don't know, footing, second wind, where you started to research more. And when you started to research, it made it easier because I could then research a separate episode, and it was like we could like flip around. And all of a sudden it was just we I don't know, we found like a new, I feel like it was in that January, February, like, oh, this is where it's going to go.
But we were sharing basically the weight of it.
Yeah. And we were able to find just a new pace. We were able to, a second wind, if you will. And then now it's gotten easier. It's gotten harder, but easier because it's like now that we got a good pace and we're closer to the end of the light, and we're kind of ahead of it now too. If that
Yeah.
makes any sense. And also just doing different segments and getting different story thread ideas. Also listening to you guys. Like, again, huge shout out now at the Appalachian Witchcraft is like halfway to 1,000 views and like a lot of watch time, which is I, yeah, of course that would be the one that's like the most famous on our channel. But I don't know, like that stuff is about YouTube has always been fascinating to me. It's like you put a bunch of content out there and it's so crazy to see like what people resonate with. And it
Right.
was that one.
Right.
Cool. And it was so crazy is all the stuff that has to do with Appalachia, it resonates. And so I think that's really interesting to me because I didn't think that would be the case when I started this,
Mm-hmm.
but it is. And then we're gonna do some more ghost stories and stuff. But anyway, this is just me just wanting to talk to you guys, the fans. And we met some really cool people. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Oh, sleep. That's what it is. But anyway, so with that said, week 39. Oh, and for the 10-month, because I think we like to do this now. This is like a little thing of ours. Like it's almost every 3 episodes we try to do some kind of special thing. And we're going to continue with that. We've done it for our 8th, our 9th, and we're going to do it for our 10th. We're going to have something special for you for the 10th month. I think it's going to be special. Anyway, so please stay tuned for that. That's going to be really cool. So, without further ado, Carly, what is our story tonight? Oh, and drinking. So, what we are drinking tonight is nothing. We're not drinking anything tonight. This is our last night. We made it 10 months with, for the most part, the last couple of months we've cut back on drinking.
We didn't make it 10 months without drinking. You just said we've made it 10 months.
Fix it. Save me.
All right. We made it basically a month without drinking.
Yeah, we made it a month without drinking. We've had a couple of episodes where we had to fib a little bit, but we did cut back a lot. And, we're going to get back to kind of our regular abode of having some neat drink recipes here for the 10, 11. We got 3 months left. So we're going to be able to see it out with some neat drink recipes
Oh,
now.
yeah. Heck yeah.
Especially, we're getting into the really cool time of year where we get some cool spring and summertime drink ideas. And
I know. I'm
and guess
so
what?
excited.
Fresh mint will be back on the menu.
Yes, we have fresh mint in our herb garden right now, and I'm so psyched.
And we're going to wear that shit out.
Heck yeah.
So anyway, without further ado, I believe this fine woman has a story for us tonight.
I do. I found this on the deep dark web.
Ooh.
I know. Prepare yourselves for the tale, the creatures that come in the storm.
Oh boy. That sounds interesting.
When it rains, we go underground. They always come with the storm. Here, when the pale blue sky bleeds into dark crimson and the crisp air turns humid and heavy, the children will start to scream. It usually only happens once or twice a century, but more recently we've seen that number every few weeks. Parents, fritted with fear, will quickly usher their children inside within an hour of the first drop of pink seeping past the horizon. The sky will turn red, shades of deep dark crimson and black boiling ominously together.
I'm really happy it's not just me that has issues with the words.
Well, the more tired I get, the more hard it is for me to read words like ominously. It's like synonymy.
I give you shit about it, but let's be real.
Ominously.
I've been listening to playbacks of our oldest episodes, guys.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So you sound fantastic compared to me. I sound like I should be in a hospital.
Like, you could always edit it out anyway.
As we sound exhausted, like we don't even want to be here.
Sorry.
Oh God, yeah, we're so glad you guys are dealing with this shit. Our 30 fans. Anyway, continue.
Within an hour of the first drop of pink seeping past the horizon, the sky turns to a shade of red and black, boiling ominously together. Again? Sighed my mother, her brow furrowed. It's only been a week since the last storm ended. I nodded knowingly, collecting a change of clothes and some perishable foods. The last storm lasted 4 days, and we couldn't risk leaving the cellar or going hungry, especially if we had to house some last-minute guests, which had been happening with increasing frequency since the man of the house next door passed away. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and I locked up the main house and the inner door to the cellar. Mother was already on the bed playing solitaire. The barn cat curled up in her lap, oblivious to the carnage that was about to befall the remaining farm animals. Kayla arrives, predictably empty handed, ushering her sons down the cellar stairs in a fluster. She paused in the doorway, gazing back toward her house. I forgot to leave him a message. He may return with the rain, she said, stepping towards the exit. Don't let the boys leave. Denial was a strong motivator. Kayla, please. The rain comes quickly and the storm never brings anyone. She interrupts my protests with a dismissive wave and sprints towards her house. All I could do now was watch the fields for her return. The rain started with a light drizzle, then quickly begun to spit. As it grew in ferocity, so did my frustration. Ferocity? Ferocity. How do you pronounce that? As it grew in ferocity. Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
So did my frustration. I needed some time to secure the doors properly before the rain was so thick it obscured the distance, and they would begin to emerge from the fog.
Whoa,
Kayla!
that's ominous.
I know. Kayla! I screamed across the dark fields, the rain getting thicker. I feel raindrops trickle down the doorway and splash onto my arm, and wipe them away without looking. The liquid surprises me, and I look down to find my fingertips soaked in blood. Ma, I said, still watching the approaching blanket of rain. It's raining blood this time. Her eyes widened, and she put her hands around the arm of each boy, restraining them. Lock the door, now. The thick of the rain was almost upon us, rapidly devouring the land in its path toward me. I could make out the shadows of the creatures moving within it, only meters away now, and slammed the thick doors shut. I put the wood slates in place, locking each one. I was already placing the third lock when I finally heard a voice. Kayla softly asking me to open the door. Her tone grew desperate, pleading me to let her in. It was only when Kayla started wailing in fear that her boys fought to break her free,
No, Kayla.
shrieking in much the same pitch. What? You were about to say something.
No, Kayla. It's just we know somebody named Kayla. I was thinking of her like, you fucking asshole! You coming in here getting blood all over my carpet?
Kayla's about to die.
No, Kayla's not gonna die.
I couldn't let her in. Once the storm was in full swing, the creatures could appear from anywhere.
Oh shit.
They were faster and stronger than any human, and I couldn't be sure the cellar door would hold without the planks in place.
What the hell?
I locked the final bolt in place, knowing that I had just condemned an innocent woman to death. I had always been fiercely pragmatic, but I wondered if this time I had acted beyond that, inhumanely even.
Well, you just murdered somebody, so yeah, like that's a thing.
It wasn't long until her blood-curdling shrieks pierced the silence between thunderclaps, and it wasn't hard to envision the creatures ripping her apart. They left corpses often, such as her late husband's, whose discarded remains were left in my yard weeks ago.
Okay, so a couple of things. This is very scary. But the way they talk about it is like they're so over it too. Like, oh, they leave the bodies in my lawn and I have to clean it up. And also, I mean, you said it's already killed her husband, so maybe she wanted to commit suicide. So positive?
Apparently she didn't if she's shrieking to be let back in.
Was she shrieking to be let back in or shrieking because she's getting eaten?
I honestly don't know why she ran out to begin with, but maybe that
suicide
will come later into play.
Her passion. I can hear it in her voice.
I'm sorry. Do I need to talk differently? Okay. Good talk.
We can always do this tomorrow.
Are you not enjoying this?
I'm
I'm sorry. I yawned once. You've yawned like 14 times.
not telling a story.
I'm not starting over.
I know, but that way I can edit it right there.
Okay.
So it gives me more work to do. Go.
It wasn't long until her blood-curdling shrieks pierced the silence between thunderclaps, and it wasn't hard to envision the creatures ripping her apart. They left corpses often, such as her late husband's, whose discarded remains were left in my yard weeks ago, obviously subject to unspeakable horror. I didn't want her to know the creature's proficiency for torture, but it seems I sentenced her to learn it firsthand anyway. We sat by a dwindling fire, bonded in terror, waiting for an uneasy sleep to claim us. It is night when I am woken by the sound of a lock turning, and I open my eyes to see the younger of the two children disappearing into the house, probably to use the bathroom. He had done this last time they stayed with us, to no harm, but it wasn't worth the risk tonight. I run towards the door to call him back, but I hear a window shatter and the child gasp. Before a sickening crack that is undeniably bones breaking echoes down the hallway, I lock the door and run back to bed just before the scratching begins. Great birthday it's been so far, I whisper to Ma, attempting to lighten the somber mood. She doesn't meet my gaze and instead begins shakily. It has only rained like this once before, the night you were born. She begins sobbing silently. They've come back for you, I can feel it. An hour later, our remaining guest started to wail, a high pitched, almost mechanical sound. I heard them. He trailed off, before frantically beginning to claw at the clay earth surrounding us. They're calling! He's pulling on the locks to the outside, frenzied in his efforts, fingernails split and bleeding. My mother hands me a knife, and I know what has to be done. Once they hear the call, they never truly come back. Even if we tied him down, his screams may attract them. And anyway, we knew all too well that he would spend the remainder of his days out in a paddock, screaming at the night, waiting for their next visit. With his cries increasing in pitch, more creatures pull at our door, their scratching heard over the rumble of the storms. Quickly, my mother screams. I slit his throat.
Why the fuck are you making her do it?
The person, I'm assuming this is a man, but okay.
Would Penny? Okay, would Penny just be like, Carly, here you go. Okay.
Yeah, she would. I'm writing this with blood still on my hands. Which is
Oh, just a day in the life of Carly. I just gutted that motherfucker right there. So anyway, as I get back to typing,
I'm
Penny's in the corner just bawling her eyes out.
the moment. Okay. I'm writing this with blood still on my hands, pooling dry and sticky around the buttons, making it harder to type. I want someone out there to know our story so we will not be forgotten to the swells of time, so that what we went through mattered, so it wasn't all for nothing. I started to hear them calling me, strongly beckoning my soul beyond any likeness to a human voice. They sounded angelic, bells tinkling, in melancholy, their song swelling in unison as the storm prevails. Like sailors to the siren, the voice keeps getting sweeter, more intoxicating. Overwhelmed, I hadn't noticed my mother reach the cellar doors. With a loud bang, she threw them open, sending wooden splinters flying. Blood red rain washes over her pale skin, her head thrown back towards the sky, blonde hair soaking dark. I hadn't noticed her eyes take on a feverish gleam. There was no denying she could now hear them too. It's time, she's saying, as the creatures grasp her and pull her into the red mist of the storm. They're walking towards me, slowly gaining clarity with each step. They are coming into focus, gray, swollen skin appearing beneath bloody rainwater. Their mouths are lamprey like, serrated teeth lining their throat like razor blades. The time has come to go with them, and I have a feeling that posting this will be the last luxury I am ever afforded. Good luck, friends, and if it ever storms red above your home, please don't go outside. And that was the tale. The creature comes in the storm.
Damn.
I know, it was like short, sweet, to the point, but I would like to mention that this story brought back a wave of memories.
Oh fuck! Here we go. Here we go, everyone. A wave of memories. This is the goddamn ostrich mechanics, and this is way darker. Because the first time she told a story, I was like, she's bullshitting, and it was all real. Now she's saying these goddamn demon things. She's like, well, this brings back memories of my Baptist days when we tried to Ouija board at church, and goddamn it, we lost Timmy.
I had a dream.
Okay, continue.
It was a very, very, very
What
vivid
dream
dream.
did you have?
So, you know that I was raised like super
Yeah.
religious. Okay. So, we were told that Jesus is going to come back and take all of the Christians with him to
Oh, the
heaven.
rapture.
Right. The rapture. And then
Revelations, I
and
believe.
then who's going to take over the earth? Satan and his demons, right?
All the good people.
No.
Yeah. Because you get to have one big party. Have you ever seen that thing with like Zac Efron and all them?
Don't confuse the listeners. Anyway, my point is that that's how I was raised, is that Jesus comes back, takes all the Christians, and then Satan and demons like invade the earth and take over. So in my dream, the Christians had it wrong. And what actually happens is that Satan and the demons invade the earth first.
Mm.
And we had to build a bunker down in the basement to hide from them. Okay. So in my dream, I'm staring out the back window and the sky just turns pitch black. And I'm thinking it's clouds. Well, it turns out the pitch black was from all the demons ascending from the sky and landing basically in the back fields and then coming up. So they're all wearing like these black cloaks, okay?
Holy shit.
And so then I'm yelling and screaming to the whole family, we had it wrong. We have to get downstairs now. Well, the bunker we were working on as a family, for some reason, we had a bunker down in the basement. It wasn't quite ready
Mm.
because my dad never got around to fixing it properly. Don't go there. Literally, this is my dream, okay?
Don't go there.
This is the reality of my dream.
Don't go there about that,
So my
Larry.
dad never had it fixed properly.
Was it a concrete wall on the side of the house?
It's in the basement. And so then I'm like trying to get Eddie, my younger brother, to come downstairs, but he wouldn't because he was playing a video game and he would not pay attention to me and he would not listen to me like for I was like screaming and yelling and trying my hardest to like pull him to get him to go downstairs. And it got to the point where we were like I had chased him like into the bathroom and the demon was like right outside the bathroom window.
Mm.
And then he came into the house through the window. We tried to run down to the bunker and then we eventually got caught by a demon and died
All of you?
in my dream. Me and Eddie for sure. I don't know about anybody
I
else.
like how it's you and Eddie. Why is it you and Eddie that died?
I have no idea. And it was Eddie's fault that we died because
Of
he wouldn't
course.
listen to me and go downstairs
Well,
to the bunker.
I mean, yeah, because you're right all the time. Like, clearly, in your own dream, you are the head of your
Did
story.
not
I'm
just say
just saying, like, clearly, like, I'm getting picked up by this weird, like, thing. Like, it's like, Eddie, it's your fault.
Anyway, I will never forget that dream. It was very, very
And this story reminded you of it?
yeah, because they had a bunker and then this thing comes from the storm. So basically it sounds like it kind of comes from the sky
Mm-hmm.
and everybody had to basically go and hide for their lives and then they heard the screaming and things like that. I don't know, it brought back my dream.
That yeah, I mean it's definitely a creepy story, and we'll link this. We'll all this guys will be of course like as always. It'll be linked in the episode description. And that was a really good story. Again, short, sweet, to the point. And it was an original. I don't even know if this is a cryptid story or a ghost story. Let us know in the comments, guys. Yeah, comment below at the podcast. Comment on the YouTube
I'm
channel.
gonna
Like,
say it was a demon story
was
or
it?
aliens
Yeah, I could definitely
because
see.
of the whole like teeth on the throat thing.
Yeah, that kind of was freaky. That freaked me out a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you know what that leaves us to? Scary stuff.
Scary stuff in the news.
Scary stuff in the news, and we got a good one today. We hit some gold on the internet. We hit some gold. So let me get this up and running here for us. So this is what we got.
Hold on, can I read it? Fisherman spot river monster in the West Fork River, paranormal, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna do way better than that, Carly.
Oh,
Surrounding the city of Westover. Recently, Councilman Ralph Mullins appeared on a local radio show, made a series of accusations about how the city is being run. Following that radio appearance,
Well, let me just restart that fucking thing. But the great thing is we can re-edit it.
Love it.
But
That's a commercial.
Next to the river.
Oh yeah, here we go.
So whether it was here or another spot close by around Fairmont, we usually gathered here to go catfishing at night. And it was, for all intents and purposes, just a typical Friday night that we would spend down here hanging out next to the river and fishing. It was somewhere around, I want to say midnight. It wasn't uncommon for us to stay here into the early morning. We all lived just a couple of minutes away, so it really wasn't a far drive. So it was one of those nights where we were sitting down here. It was dark. We all had lines in the water. And out of the corner of my eye, if I'm sitting right here with our lines into this bigger pool, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something reflecting in the moonlight. It was a pretty clear night, so we had good light from the moon.
I just love like,
oh my gosh.
And so what we saw
This
was
from the moonlight.
It was from the moonlight.
It was
there.
a reflection.
So basically, if you guys aren't following around, this is an Appalachian cryptid of West Virginia that really lives in the Allegheny and Monongahela River systems. And so we'll just continue with what he said. Then we'll kind of get into what they think it is.
And at first, when I looked over, you see something that is intruding the flow of the water. So you see the water, as if it was going around a rock.
I also love, I'm sorry, I know like I'm cutting this off, but this guy is coming up with as big of words as humanly possible. And I really have a hard time believing this is the way he talks in real life. He could be a sweet guy, but it's like
how we have large
and
Jim Bob and small Billy Bob.
And I looked out there and I could see that the water was intruding. For in my vision receptors, it was a sparkling there. And I was like, Billy Bob John, what is it that?
And this that he removed it thou.
And I saw what looked like it was a circle. It was big, so I just thought it was possibly a ball, something floating. I didn't really give much thought to it. But then as it kept swimming, I looked back and I could see what looked like a snake-like movement somewhere behind this ball. So, going through it in my head, I'm trying to think, what am I seeing right now? Spend a lot of time next to the river. I've always been an outdoorsman, just like Jake. So, trying to make sense of something that isn't normal to see. And then I realize it's all one thing. It's all one creature of some sort. And immediately I turn to them and I go, what is that? You guys see that right there? And I'm going to freaking out because I can't see it clearly. I could just see it from the moonlight, and we all had headlamps, but they couldn't get out to the middle of the river. So they started freaking out. Jake was like, we just saw that thing last.
So I also love about this, if you're looking at this river, and again, guys, we're going to get into the story of what this is.
Shallow.
It's so shallow. How the fuck did you say how was this hard? Like way across the river.
Right.
That's a creek.
Like it's so small.
Do you know like the Potomac River? Yeah. I don't know. The Susquehanna, which is twice as long. Go to fishing in the DMV if you want to learn more about that. But like the Shenandoah is considered actually a small river, like width-wise compared to like the Mississippi, the Nile, like things like that, like big ass rivers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you've seen the tidal Potomac. That thing's wide. This is like Antietam. No, hell, this is like Conococheague
Creek right down the road.
Yeah, this is small, and they're saying there's a massive cryptid that just snuck up on them and disappeared.
Last week, and we didn't know what to say. I'll let you explain that part.
We were doing the exact same thing we were doing the night that Nate here saw it. Another buddy of mine, Alex, me and him were sitting here catfishing around almost the same time, between 10 at night, 12 midnight, around there. Right out here, it looked like what we thought. It looked like someone swimming on their hands and knees, crawling across the rocks. And we were like, wait, okay, let's scream out, let's holler out at this guy. Maybe a bum fell in the water. Let's go see if we can save him. And then we're yelling here, sitting here yelling at this black shadow crawling up the rock.
Maybe a bum fell in the water.
How West Virginia have to be? Where you just could you imagine? Could you imagine you're driving along and all of his words like we just started shouting at it, and you can imagine you're driving along at night. And you're like, you see these guys like, go on, get. What are you doing right there, man? Come on, man. What are you, turtle man? You some kind of creature right there? Just start yelling at it. Who the hell just sees something and just starts yelling at it? Like, rah, rah, rah.
Maybe it's a bum in the water.
Just doing this. It's just doggy paddling.
Just doggy paddling, just crawling on the stones.
We realized it wasn't even looking, wasn't acknowledging us, and then that's when we saw the snake-like tail that was going behind it.
We were seeing, we chalked it up to, you know what? We're just going to be three crazy people that are just going to spin this yarn about, something we saw in the river that we couldn't explain. And that is when we came across the article that said this creature has a history. It has its own legend. And as soon as we saw it and read the details about it, it just snapped like that. That had to have been it. We've never seen anything like it since. We've only saw it the time they saw it and then the time I saw it. And it kind of brought it full circle. And it was a vindicating experience because I'm like, I'm not crazy, right? I know that. Well,
vindicating experience.
And this is another creature that we're actually going to do an episode about too.
What creature is this?
Well, that's what we're going to get into now.
And what I saw, it was very hard for me to explain to anybody else without sounding crazy. So I get how it sounds, but you have three people that saw it for sure and can all affirm and acknowledge that it was something that absolutely shouldn't have been in this river, or maybe it should have. I mean, who am I to say?
It was nice that you got to see it after my friend and I saw it, because when we saw it and we're explaining it to you, we felt crazy. But when you saw it with us, it was sort of like, holy smokes. What we saw might have
we weren't hallucinating. Right.
So anyway, that was the best moment of these two individual lives. I'm 100% guessing that's true, but we're gonna get into what they actually thought they saw.
To go viral for that,
the Paranormal West Virginia. The Carly, help me with that pronunciation right there.
Oogagua,
and it has its basis in prehistoric animals, because there were giant turtles in this area. If you go back through the Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, going back through that time, the time of the dinosaurs, you will find giant turtles. 1745-46, there was a family living down near Holt, West Virginia, and the Oogagua grabbed their 12-year-old son, pulled him under the river, and they never saw him again. There were reports of the Oogagua throughout that area for the longest time, and they even thought at one point they found the bones of the Oogagua, but the research that's been done on the stories and the description of the bones that they found, they think they actually found a mastodon or a mammoth bone in the river, and thought that was, or at least some sort of prehistoric creature in the.
So anyway, guys, so the Oogagua is actually a mythological or real 20-foot long turtle.
It looks
it's like a massive snapping turtle.
But
this story was from last fall. This was September 28th, 2021, that these two friends were catfishing by the river, and they actually found this massive turtle. Now, the Oogagua is said to be a 500+ pound giant alligator snapping turtle. To be fair, guys, if I did see a turtle that big, I'd be like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
That thing's massive,"
Yeah.
and that would be scary as hell.
Terrifying. Because snapping turtles are a lot faster than you think.
Yeah, and
so the fact that a tiny snapping turtle is fast, then you look at a big snapping turtle that's like however long you said it was.
20 feet long.
20 feet long.
And I think when they mean 20 feet long, I wonder if that's just the circumference of the shell. Because, okay, again, to be fair, remember for our, I think it was our honeymoon. No, when we got engaged, we went to that fantastic turtle exhibit and down the Keys. And the fact is, there's that one turtle. I think is it the loggerhead that gets to be almost like 20? The circumference of it is like 20 feet.
It's very, very large.
It's a big ass turtle. Like it's not like
it's not 20 feet.
You know what? Hold on. Before we end tonight, just because of that.
It's not 20 feet.
Largest sea turtle. Okay, yeah, that's pretty fucking big. That's still fucking big.
That's a really big turtle. Yeah.
That's still okay.
So imagine if there was a snapping turtle that could potentially get that big.
And to be fair, okay, you're right. It's probably not 20 feet, but if you saw that thing in the water,
that's horrifying.
That would be horrifying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's honestly a good point too, just from whatever, but how big does something have to be to the point that it looks like a monster. You know what I mean? Like, so example, like this thing, if you saw something this size in the river, it's a monster.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, you might exaggerate that thing to be 20 feet. Because at that point, it's like, I can see where you could exaggerate that too.
I feel like,
You know, a painted
once-
turtle, you can't exaggerate to 20 feet. This thing,
once it hits like 200 pounds, it's a monster.
200 pounds is a monster. So
Yeah.
anything underneath that is not. So, was JoJo a monster?
No, he's under 200 pounds.
I thought he was like 100.
No.
Oh, okay, make sure. But anyway, guys, so with that said, that was week 39. It was a fantastic week. We found a massive turtle monster, some weird ass like lamprey sucky blood demons. That basically also happened in Carly's childhood, apparently, too. So
Basically.
we got a lot accomplished today.
I know.
And then next week we got a super special 40 episode 40. Oh, what a great week. 10 months into this bad boy with only 2 left. And then we would have made it a year with only, I think, 1 week of minor hiccups. And that's it.
Yeah. Tom's so sleepy. Let's wrap it up.
With that said, guys, please like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time on Spirits and Ghost Stories. Bye.
Bye.